Chapter 12. The American Cavalry. Camp Navarro, JSOTFP, Headquarters. Mr. Stray! Mr. Stray! A voice, paired with the panic knocking, came from the other side of the door. Jason Stray had just completed his morning workout routine and gone back to his living quarters to meditate before taking on the day. While the intrusive nature of the door knocking did impede his focus, Jason did not get angry. Something was important, and he needed to enter the day earlier than usual. Although he was graying around the temples, his face and body had withstood the effects of his age. His jet black hair was in a neat crew cut with a dark 5 o'clock shadow that hid only part of the scar on the right side of his face across his piercing steel blue eyes. His skin had been neatly tanned from his time around the world, but was blemished with scars, burns, and bullet holes around his body. He stood up and out of his cot and threw on a pair of tan PacSun shorts and a pink island shirt. After getting into some flip-flops, he opened the door. Jason Stray stood inches taller than the 21-year-old Air Force fusion analyst. His physique was intensely athletic. While lean, he also expressed strength, power, and endurance. As intimidating as he looked, though, Jason gave an assured smile and a head nod of greetings to the airman. "What's up, man?" Jason said casually in his gentle southern accent. "Sir, our drone is picking up feed around that camp near Mount Malandang," the airman said with concern. "It looks like that security company is taking contact from possible Islamic militants." Jason nodded his head again. He went back to his desk to pick up his Ray-Ban sunglasses and moved with purpose alongside the airman, guiding him to the Tactical Operations Center. Jason and the airman hustled out of the living quarters of the base to a nondescript but large steel box with an electronically locked door. The airman swiped his keycard on the reader next to the door. Jason walked into a large room with men and women of all branches by their computers on the 2 rows of desks facing a large HD TV screen. U.S. Marine Intelligence Officer Major Isabella Flores stood arms crossed in the middle of the operations center. Everything about her was professional, from her black hair tied into a strict, tight bun to the expertly cuffed sleeves that showed her musculature. When Jason entered the room, she met him with a scowl. Not because he had done anything wrong, per se. She was mad at herself for falling for him over the course of her deployment to the Philippines, only to be denied. All she could do when he walked in was feel the wedding ring around her finger. "Mr. Stray, how lovely of a company man to join us," Major Flores said with a sarcastic tone. "What do we got, Izzy?" Jason replied, foregoing any formal title and calling her by her nickname he gave her when they first met. Jason Stray's formal role was a paramilitary operations officer in the Central Intelligence Agency. Throughout his career, he undertook missions in global hotspots, engaging in tasks like infiltration, sabotage, recovery, and assassination. However, following his experiences during the tumultuous end of the U.S. presence in Afghanistan and a mission in Africa, his superiors recommended that he take a break from paramilitary operations and focus on being an operations officer. For the past 3 months, he had been working with the Joint Special Operations Task Force Philippines. Instead of orchestrating coups or rescuing hostages, he now collaborated with assets and gathered intelligence in Mindanao to support the Filipino government's fight against Islamic extremists in the region. It was, in his view, a welcome change of pace from the intense pressure of his previous assignments. "That archaeology company is getting hit by militants. Our ISR drone picked up members from what we believe is Abu Sayyaf. Somehow, it looks like they've found out about some gold hidden in the caves that the archaeologists dug out," Major Flores explained. "Any casualties?" Jason asked. "It's a bloodbath," Major Flores remarked solemnly. "Damn. Where's that security company?" Jason asked while diverting his attention to the screen. "Reports say that the security company got hit too," Major Flores replied. Jason looked at the larger TV screen. It was a live feed from a drone flying over the camp. Jason could see the bodies strewn out in the field and the fires consuming the tents. He also noticed that there were 3 survivors about to be executed. The sight silently angered Jason Stray. What elements do we have in-house? Jason firmly asked, taking quick command of the room. He was referring to see if the Army Special Forces Operational Detachment Alpha, ODA, was back from routine training with the Filipino Special Forces. If they could get into a fight, then maybe he could too. Mr. Stray, might I remind you that we are operating in a support function? That all combat must come from the Filipino Armed Forces? Major Flores remarked. Jason concealed his frustration. Let me get Captain Sybil on the line. He went to the nearby landline phone. He called the headquarters to the nearby 1st Scout Ranger Regiment. Captain Sybil immediately answered. Jason, my friend, what can I do for you? Captain Sybil answered. We got hostile forces moving about a nearby village near Mount Malandang, Jason briefed. No problem. Send coordinates and we'll get him, Captain Sybil answered confidently. Stand by. There are American hostages about to be executed. Can you send our ODA with you? Jason explained. No, there is no need, Captain Sybil said with arrogance. It was at that moment the ISR drone feed displayed a machete striking one of the hostages. I swear to God, Sybil, at least get some of our PJs in the air, Jason demanded. Okay, but they take our helicopters, Captain Sybil replied. Jason allowed it, but knew that their helicopters didn't match the speed or the troop capacity the same way the ones in American Special Operations had. However, he could take what he could get. Mr. Stray, there is another helicopter coming into view, the same airman from before remarked. It was at that moment Jason saw the helicopter unload unknown yet experienced gunmen alongside a man in a green suit. Someone run facial recognition on this guy, Major Flores ordered, referring to the man in the green suit. After a while, one computer popped up with a professionally done photo of the man in the green linen suit. An Army intelligence specialist read aloud, Mr. Cody Armano, age 34, has a high social media presence. The DHS has a file on him. He specializes in oil exports, but there are also unconfirmed cases in the DHS files on black market weapons dealing, the soldier said. To who? Jason asked. The Islamic State, Iran, the Sri Lankan LTTE, and... The soldier stopped. To who? Jason asked again. Us, the soldier said, confused. At least 2 American security contractors, and to both left and right domestic extremist groups. Jason sighed, confused as to how all of these pieces were fitting, but anxious to save at least 2 Americans from the extremist militants. That's when one of the militants picked up one of the hostages. It was a woman. She apparently was talking to Cody before being kidnapped and taken to the helicopter. Jason stood there, awestruck that an American archaeology company had been so boldly attacked. He was tracking that the company had come to Mindanao. His asset in the field, a bakla by the name of Kiki, constantly transmitted updates to the activities of both Westpac Archaeology and Boone Tactical Security. He even gave a few weapons to both her and her friend in case the security company got out of control. The craziest thing that she reported before this was a light explosion far into the other side of the mountain. Jason had hoped that she was all right in this situation. Jason looked back at the screen to notice that the last hostage was about to be executed. He also noticed from the aerial view that another person was moving between the cover of the debris next to the hostage. Upon the unidentified man taking back the hostage, the situation erupted with gunfire. The hell is going on? Commented Major Flores. Ma'am, it seems like we have unidentified opposition to the Abu Sayyaf group, a Marine shouted. The last victim was saved, and both the rescuer and hostage ran into the forested area where they disappeared from the drone's view. Jason was surprised to see such resistance. Tell the teams en route that there are friendlies in the area of operations, Jason ordered. How are they going to identify them, Mr. Stray? Major Flores challenged. Jason could only look back at the drone's feed from the TV and hope that there was a way. He then saw around 20 people running into the jungle to find them. Hey, is that drone armed? Jason asked. We have 1 missile, but it's for defensive purposes. We need the authorization to use it, one airman announced. Well, get it, Zach, Jason ordered with a matter-of-fact tone. Zach, the airman, got on his headset and made the call. Until he could get authorization to use the missile, all Jason Stray could do was wait patiently, praying that the survivors could live long enough until the quick reaction force could get them. Sir, the helicopter is leaving, an airman noted, referring to Cody's helicopter transporting the hostage. Get set, feet on it, Jason decided, ignoring how expensive it would be to have a satellite track a helicopter. Keep the drone on the town. I want these survivors found. After a few minutes, he could see 3 individuals making their way through the town, with one carrying a 4th on his back. Jason inferred that these men had some type of military background, judging from the way they tactically maneuvered to get out of the city. Jason watched as one of the security members got into a grappling match and jabbed a knife into a militant. The unidentified security member then threw a grenade near a telephone pole. An explosion rocked the fallen pole onto the choke point that blocked the enemy's convoy. Jason continued to look with a sense of excitement. This team's cooperation and sheer courage impressed him the most, though, to the point that he only started to relax his posture when they were able to commandeer a truck and leave. Bring the drone around to track them, Jason insisted. The drone broke the holding pattern it was in and flew with the old, beat-up pickup truck. Jason smiled at the notion that at least somebody was able to come out of this attack. Hey, tell at least 2 choppers in the air that there are friendlies moving southbound in a white pickup truck and they need medical aid, Jason said to Major Flores. Major Flores, awestruck about how 3 people and 1 wounded individual escaped 20 militants, as well as multiple armored tactical vehicles, got on the phone and made the call. When Jason looked back at the drone's feed on the TV screen, he noticed that 1 tactical vehicle was fast approaching the truck. Hey, do we have that missile yet? Jason asked Zach, the airman, still on the headset. And no one is picking up, Zach sheepishly answered. Jason could see that the armored truck was gaining on them. We'll call them again, Jason announced. I'm getting Captain Sybil on the line, Major Flores added. The armored car hit the truck, about to go for a second hit. Jason couldn't allow more people to die while he watched. He had to take a risk. Sir, we can't reach anybody, Zach said, defeated. Jason saw that the tactical vehicle was just far away enough from the truck, but was going to ram the truck again. With only seconds to spare, Jason Stray moved the soldier operating the drone's missile system away from the terminal. He unlocked the missile and shot it. Through the guided missile's camera, Jason piloted directly toward the top hatch of the armored vehicle. Once the camera got close, the screen turned to static. Jason looked up at the main screen, seeing the explosion of the tactical vehicle and the white truck spinning wildly. Only a minute later, the helicopters came into view and touched down on the highway, securing the survivors. I hope, for your sake, Mr. Stray, that they have very good intel, Major Flores said with stern sincerity.